My name's Rachel Lucas and I am chair of the Songwave community choir. We are a community choir based in Castle Douglas and have been there since 1995, but were previously known as the Feral Choir. Our previous musical director moved to Edinburgh and the Feral Choir was officially closed down, but the community of singers wanted to relaunch, but we had to use a different name as the Feral Choir name went with our previous musical director. So we had to start from nothing to build the community back up and also to get resources, because we no longer had access to lights and staging and that sort of thing that we had previously had. So we approached Sleeping Giants with a view to raising some funds to help us get back together as a choir, to help with funding for a rehearsal space, assuming that we could rehearse indeed. And then the culmination was going to be a series of 6 concerts put on for the community, which were going to be free of charge, so that we could connect with the wider community, which is our audience in Dumfries and Galloway. We started off in the summer singing outside at an SB farm, which was great. And then in September, we moved inside into their cafe area, but it was quite a small space. And we are now going to move to Castle Douglas Primary School Hall, the Assembly Hall there, which is a much bigger space. It's got a big high ceiling. We started this process in the spring, sort of March time, I think it was. Rebecca was on the case straight away. She's worked with the choir in its previous incarnation when it was Feral Choir. Rebecca did help us with some social media stuff and was brilliant. So yeah, she's been really good. She knows what we're like and could say the right things on the form. She knew exactly what to say that would tick all the boxes for the funding applications. It was brilliant. They suggested, first of all, that we actually had a survey. So we sent out a Survey Monkey survey to all our choir members, and we'd had a Zoom meeting with Rebecca and Grace to discuss the sort of questions that we could ask in order to get some really good quotes that could be used in funding applications, and actually to find out how the choir members felt about coming back to singing again, having not sung together since March 2019. So the questions were really good. The survey was really good. We had a fantastic response rate, had some brilliant quotes. And then Rebecca and Grace found some funding sources, did all the hard work, filled in all the forms, and we just sort of put some final touches onto the application, just double checked it through. But apart from that, it was just brilliant because we did very, very little. And I think when you're faced with a funding application form, they are completely daunting because they ask particular questions, and if you don't fill them in and answer them in the right way and tick the right boxes, your application is just thrown out at the first minute. Obviously, we were quite specific in being a choir, but we ticked boxes for health and well-being, and COVID recovery and community. So they knew exactly where to go to apply for funding, and knew exactly what to write in the boxes in order to make it sound exactly right. When you're faced with a text limit of 200 words in order to try and explain exactly what you're trying to do and how important it is, it's very difficult if you're not used to writing to those parameters. None of the committee had any experience in filling in forms. I doubt we'd have even bothered if we hadn't gone to Rebecca and Grace. It meant that we could get back together again as a choir and go forward knowing that we weren't completely financially constrained, and that if people were struggling financially, they didn't necessarily have to pay the full subscription fee. A lot of our choir members are quite elderly and vulnerable, and quite a few live alone. And it was just amazing, the reaction of being able to sing together again. It's a very, very powerful thing to do. And so it was just wonderful, really, really wonderful. And the reaction was just fantastic. I had so many emails from people thanking us for persevering and getting everything back together. It was just great.